a handoff to McCoy again, to the 5. He's looking to the pylon near sideline. He's in! Titus McCoy with his first career touchdown. Coach Mallory gets the water bath, his first win, as he's mobbed by his blue jersey family members as every Sycamore comes over to give Coach Mallory a hug. And he's going to enjoy that water bath. Final score, Indiana State 49, Quincy nothing. Welcome back to week 2 of the Curt Mallory Show. Following the win last week against the Quincy Hawks, Indiana State will hit the road to play Louisville. It'll be 7 o'clock on Saturday night on the ACC Network. Coaches, should be a fun environment down in Louisville. It's probably going to be a near sellout. It's going to be their first home game of the year, renovated stadium. But before we get to all of that, the emotions for you of being able to win the first game last week, and you've always told your group, believing without evidence. Well, you finally got some evidence.
It was great to get that first W. I was so happy for the team. I was happy for most importantly, I was happy for the team. They've done a tremendous job leading this team and working hard. They came together, worked hard as soon as the season got over, and it never stopped. It was just great to have that celebration and get that first W.
What does it say about your group, too, though? Of course, great jubilation. I know many people have seen the clip. We're showing it right now of that locker room after the game. But most of your guys, though, when they were asked, even for me, there was a lot we left out there. There's a lot we can get better at. How much prouder does it make you as a coach is really those press conferences, and this is all the guys, not even the guys that were really recorded or talked to. The gist was, we have a lot more to do here. This isn't the end goal.
No, it's a team that's maturing. It's a team that knows that they can play a lot better. And that'll be the main emphasis this week, that we get better from week 1 to week 2.
Of course, the emphasis was always on yourself. Knowing that, and you were able to watch film against somebody else, what were some of the main observations you guys had as a staff after you let the excitement kind of build on that Thursday and then watch the film in the following day?
Well, there were a lot of goods. I liked the way that the offense started off, went down the field and scored a touchdown. I liked the 98-yard drive. There were some positives there. There are some things that will get cleaned up this week offensively. Special teams, getting the ball back twice, creating some turnovers, and obviously score on special teams. But there's still some technical things there that we got to get cleaned up. Defensively, flew around, played hard, put them in situations with their backs against the wall, and I really liked the way they responded.
What was it about the defense that you just really loved the way they play with? You know, they've been talking about the dark side all fall camp. How did they play with that dark side and really use it to their advantage on Thursday night?
Well, it's an experienced group. It's a group that's been through it. When things didn't go our way, which happens in a football game, they stood up and made some stops, some key stops, where the momentum could have really flipped. And I thought the defense stood up, especially inside the 10-yard line, getting a 4th down stop. And then when we decided to go for it on 4th down, didn't convert, and how they went 3 and out right away. So that was a big growth by the defense. It was great to see.
Coach Quincy said after the game, look, Luke, I wanted to put Jaleel, of course, which all of your coaches do, to put your guys in the best position to succeed, which is probably why you ran the ball so much. Even though you knew you were going to run the ball a lot, what were you excited most about the way your team was able to run the football against Quincy, and how that can hopefully be a sign to come for the rest of this year?
No question. I mean, it's always going to start with the run. I thought we were able to utilize 4 or 5 backs. They all ran extremely hard, but it always going to start up front. And I thought, especially early on, the offensive line really dominated. And then they showed that dominance again in the second half. But we got to be more consistent throughout the game.
I asked you this in your weekly press conference as we kind of transition into the current state of affairs, looking towards Louisville. But before that, really great news for the program and Robert Tonyan being able to make the 53-man roster for the Green Bay Packers. We caught up with Rob over the summer. I know he spoke really highly of you, and even though you weren't his head coach, the respect level he had for you and how you treated him once you came in, and that connection you've been able to build with the alums. For you as the current head coach, even though you didn't get to see 18 play and be able to coach him, the importance of what this means for this program of a guy making an opening day roster for the Packers.
Well, he's a great representation of the Indiana State football program. High character young man, great football player, but he's a better young man off the field. And it's so good to see him because he did it through hard work. He's a young man that came in as a quarterback. Then they moved him to the wide receiver position. And, I have two close friends with the Packers organization. One's a D-line coach, one's special teams coordinator. And they both sought me out and asked me about him and just the impression he made on those guys and what type of player he is. If you have a D-line coach noticing a wide receiver / tight end or a special teams coordinator really catching your eye, he's going to make it. And it wasn't a surprise just following him that he made it. I knew he would get his opportunity, and he certainly has.
Looking towards this week with Louisville, of course, a jump up in competition. Louisville's probably going to be chomping at the bit to get back at home after their loss to #1 Alabama. The biggest things your staff learned of watching Louisville this past week against a really caliber opponent in #1 Alabama?
Well, obviously Louisville is a top 20 team year in and year out. They've built a championship program. They've done an outstanding job. They never miss a beat. Every year they're right in the mix to win the ACC championship. This year will be no different. This is one heck of a challenge, a great opportunity for the Sycamores, and we're excited to make some improvement from week 1 to week 2.
I know you're going to get tested in all 3 phases, but I think everybody knows when you go up against a coach in Bobby Petrino who is offensive-oriented, his offenses, of course, are going to be multi-talented. Even though they've lost a guy on Lamar Jackson, what is it about a Bobby Petrino offense that is a reason why they're not just going to challenge you, they're going to challenge everybody they face?
Well, they're going to be balanced. Obviously, they're very good up front. They got great wide receiver core. Running backs run very hard. They're elusive. And the quarterbacks year in and year out are going to be extremely well coached. But there's no doubt about it. Coach Petrino does an unbelievable job. Probably is well-respected offensive mind in our profession. And year in and year out, they're always a top 3, top 2, top 1 team in the country offensively.
You always talk about making the most improvement from week 1 to week 2, and not just you, coaches across the country. Where do you want to see your team grow the most from week 1 to week 2, regardless that it's going to be against the run?
Well, there's a lot of things we left out there. Penalties were the #1. Those were controlled. We had way too many penalties. That'll be the emphasis, things that we can control. The mental mistakes that we made. It wasn't an effort, wasn't a loafing. It was more the mental part of it. But we got to get those mental corrections taken care of, starting with the penalties.
Coach, appreciate the time. Good luck against the Cardinals this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you very much.
Once again, that was head coach Curt Mallory. For more on Indiana State football, you know where to go. That's GoSycamores.com.